How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. We are so appreciative that you can come here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Introduce yourself.
I am author Miss LB. LB. I am the CEO of Plush Production. I am the writer, creator, executive producer, wardrobe stylist, prop master, location scouter of He Played Me Too, The Dirty D, and These Men for Everybody.
And an actor. Allegedly.
Yeah, listen, and I've been doing getting my actress on lately. So check the credits for extras in He Played Me One. Okay.
For a beginner writer, what would you say the pay rate is independently?
I would say 3,000 to 4,000. That's a hard question, but in my guess, I would say 3,000 to 4,000.
Okay. How does one get started in screenwriting?
Well, for me, it was just picking up a pen. For other people, I would say probably taking a class, doing a little research, making sure that this is the field that you want to be into, finding the type of writing you like to do. But I would say the first step would be classes, definitely.
What are some screenwriting basics that you can give out to new beginners? Or people, all screenwriters in general?
Well, my first thing always is when someone tell me or ask me about screenwriting, first I would say learn it. Understand what you're doing. Don't just think you could just write a screenplay. There are a lot of pieces that go to it to make it flow. That's the most important thing, is making everything flow. So my first piece of advice definitely would be learn how. Take classes. It's not something that just comes overnight. The second thing would be outlines. That's how I start writing, is just have one outline. How do you want everything to start, and plugging everything up in the middle. The third thing would be keep going. Even if it doesn't make sense then, just get it all out. Just keep going, and you can always go back, touch it up, take something out, put something in. But you might have a brain freeze here, but you know where you're going 10 scenes down. Skip that. Just to be determined, and just keep writing and letting everything keep coming out.
For a writer writing their first film, what should they not do?
Listen to a bunch of other people. I think the main thing would be always keep your vision in mind. It's okay to take advice and critiques and opinions from other people, but write to your vision. Always keep your vision in mind when you're being creative in your writing.
How do you brainstorm script ideas?
It will almost sound weird. I will wake up in the morning with a whole script idea in my head.
So dreamy?
Or they just pop into my head. I don't want to sound crazy, but literally, like, I could just be sitting somewhere and a whole script will pop into my head.
So do you write them down?
I put them in my notes in my phone. My notes is full of it would probably look crazy to anybody else but me.
Yeah.
And it would just be like story A, story B, and I would just go in as I think of different stuff and just put it in my notes.
Yeah. How do you write a compelling story?
I think I try to make everything I write relatable and real. Something that everybody go through, something that everyone can relate to. Most of the things that I write is from a woman's perspective of things that I've been through that I know millions of other women has been through, and that's just been my niche.
Would you say writing engaging dialogue is important?
It is. It is. Because once you lose your viewer, that's it. Like, if they get confused or can't keep up, they're going to turn it off.
When writing, do you write goals for your character? Do character need goals?
That's difficult. I would say not necessarily. For me, I just know where I want things to start and end. Even if it's, and then I don't do that with every character because I could have a story and I just throw somebody in there that to me it makes sense, it makes things more logical. I don't know where they're going in the story. I know I need them, and I just throw them in there and it just tighten it all together.
What about subplots? Are those important to have?
Subplots are tricky because my biggest pet peeve in watching a movie is subplots that does not make sense. It doesn't go with the story. It's like you can tell it was something just kind of put, I call them fluffers or fillers. It's like, what did that have to do with anything? So I like subplots. They're needed, but they have to make sense to the story.
What about plot twists? Are you a fan of those?
Well, that's my go-to. I love a story with. I mean, I just don't think a story is a story without a plot twist. If it's too predictable, it's like, I've seen it a million times. I don't care. I always try to put at least 2 plot twists in my stories.
Can someone have too many plot twists? Can that ruin a movie?
Absolutely. And I think people do try to put too many plot twists in. And again, everything to me has to make sense. A good plot twist makes sense, but it has to be something that blindsides the audience but still makes sense, where they can look back like, oh, that's what that meant there, and she was insinuating that there. I mean, they're important, but it just have to make sense.
What is your favorite genre to write, and what is your best genre to write?
Drama.
Both? Why do you think that?
I'm not a messy person, right? But I think I can live out the creativity of just the messiness through my stories, through drama.
Is it important to write for your fan base?
Definitely. Although I do want to step outside the box, but your fan base is your moneymaker. So it's like, when you think about, I want to do a religious movie at some point. I'm scared. I made all my money off of dramas. Yeah, I think it is important to stick to it until you get to a certain point where you're not doing it necessarily for the fan base. It's something that you want to do just to prove to yourself you can do it.
How do you move your audience?
Goes back to just keeping it relatable. Real and relatable. If it's real and they can relate to it, you win.
Writing a film versus a series, what are some similars? What are some difficulties? Which one do you prefer? Etc.
To me, it's almost the same. I just think the series give you more. I am a long, drawn-out person. For a film, you can't be. You have to stay within a certain time. With a series, it's never ending. I could take this character out. I could put this character in. I can play around with characters. So you have more creativity with a series opposed to a film. The hard thing about a series is writing for 3 seasons ahead. So you have to make sure you keep stuff open-ended where you could do something else with it 2 seasons from now. So you have to more write ahead in a series.
Producing. Should you produce any and everything in today's market?
No. I am so protective of my brand. I've only produced, I produced all my teen movies, but outside of my team, I only produced 1 movie. Because my brand means something to me. And it's more important to me to say proudly this is a plush film opposed to just give me the money to produce it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't attach my brand to anything that doesn't represent me.
Yeah. How do you produce an independent film?
When you say how do I put it together?
Like, how do you, yeah, for someone who's looking to start, like, how do they learn, and, like, what's the process? Like, how do you do it?
I'm going to be honest. I feel like with producing, you have to be on the set to learn. I feel like you can take classes, you can go to school, you can get the basic knowledge. But when it comes to just how production works, the ins and outs, the things that you're going to encounter, I just feel like they have to be learned on set, or combining on set with school.
Mm-hmm. How do you pick the script to produce?
I've never picked the script to produce. The one film I did produce outside of my team, I wrote the script.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I would produce anything that I didn't write, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because I turn down tons of scripts to produce every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that goes back to I'm just picky about what I attach my brand to.
Yeah. So for your scripts specifically and your team scripts, how do you come up with a budget for each particular one? Like,
I don't, and that's bad. I put a roundabout budget, but I never stick to the budget that I have to get better with that, honestly. With my kids, yeah, because like I say, okay, we're not going over 40,000, and the next thing I know, especially with Splurge, because he's like over the top, and I try to keep our films at, well, the Dirty D budget was just crazy, but for films, I try to keep it at 50,000 and less.
Mm-hmm.
But he played me too. It was much higher only because I flew everybody out to Florida, and we filmed the last 2 days in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Can you make a good quality film with $20,000?
Now, with paying everybody, or are you saying like with favors?
Everything. Just anything.
I'm going to say not now, only because my first movie, my budget was like 26,000. I saw how everything has doubled in 2 years. The actors want twice as much. The production team everybody want twice as much. So recently, I have yet to be able to shoot a film for under 50,000.
Mm-hmm.
If you do it for, I don't think so. 20,000, unless some people willing to come in for free.
Mm-hmm. Do you give out percentages or you cash out everyone?
I cash out everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, I'm lying. I gave out percentages to one person in the Dirty D1 only because it was my first time doing a series and I wanted to do wardrobe and this, and it was so much I wanted to focus on. I gave them a point, or 1% or whatever, but that's the only time I ever do that, and I would never do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. My actors from He Played Me one, we didn't really know anything about points. I thank them for the job they did, and the movie did awesome. So I will just give them whatever I feel is fair with each check for now, but it's not like under a contract or anything. It's just out of love and appreciation.
That's perfect. What should you spend the most money on, crew or actors?
Ooh, that's a good question. Crew. Because the crew is going to carry the most weight, in my opinion. They are going to be, they're more going to make your project or break it. So I would say that's a tough question, because if you get some bad acting in front of the screen, the crew can only do so much. But I'm going to go with crew.
Okay. Do you believe that huge names guarantee money back?
No. He played me. I didn't have one name. It was all local. That was my most successful movie. That movie has made almost $1 million without one name. I turned around and did These Men for Everybody. I paid Snoop from The Wire, Bad Boy from Instagram, and that movie didn't do a quarter of what He Played Me did. I think it comes right down to the story and the acting. No one's gonna come cut on the TV for unless it's a Denzel Washington. Okay, maybe I would go get. But other than that, no. If you can do it, there's nothing wrong with it. But to do it and think that's gonna make your movie sell, no.
Yeah. Well, how do you sell a movie?
A good story. You can do anything you want to do. You can go get cameos. You can shoot in China. Like, you can do whatever. The story is what's going to sell. The people have to love it. The people have to chatter about it. The people have to start talking about it. Oh, did you see this? And it's a word of mouth kind of thing. And that's it. A good story.
So, what is the hardest part of producing?
I would say the stress of having to make sure everything is on point to flow. The stress of one wrong thing can throw off everything. So it's almost like to flow, you have to be damn near perfect. And that's, to me, the scariest and most stressful thing is everyone relies on the producer to bring all of this together, and you got to do it right.
Yeah. What would you say is the hardest lesson you learned from being a producer?
From being a producer, I think the most important lesson I learned is things are going to happen in production, just period. No way around it. It's production. And you have to be able to stay calm to figure it out in a very short amount of time where it makes sense with the resources you have in front of you. So I would say, to sum all of that up, I used to panic a lot when things went wrong. It was like, oh my God, we can't get in this location. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? And it just was a nightmare. So I had to learn, okay, cool. We can't shoot in there. What do we have available? How can we change the scene around very quickly to make up for what we missed? So it's like just staying calm and figuring it out.
Yeah. When you first started producing, what was your biggest no?
I don't think I had a big, well, my biggest no was my actors looking any kind of way with hair, with makeup, and with wardrobe. Those were non-negotiable with me. It had to be right. If nothing else, that had to be right. Yeah, I would say that was my biggest pet peeve.